Hello and welcome to the Destiny Expanse podcast, episode 7. I'm Quasi. Joining with me today, as always, the intrepid master Grimoire Hunter himself, Charger. What's shaking, Bacon?
Just give me a second, man. Another about 2 minutes, I'll have my grenade. Another 10, I'll get a super, and then we're good to go. Carry on.
Okay. We have a lot to talk about today. If you haven't noticed, today is going to be all about the beta. Actually, we have a little bit more stuff. But before we talk about that, I'd like to thank Salt for bringing this episode to you. Salt, a.k.a. sodium chloride, can be found in oceans, the Dead Sea, and in its natural form in rocks called halite. Presently, salt is most commonly found when looking up Destiny 2 beta impressions. Today, we'll be talking about community beta impressions, more salt, our beta impressions, salt, and ARGs at the farm, and a new segment that we just came up with called Things We Like and Things We Hate.
But I'll take this from you so you can get a few more giggles in. But first, we're going to open up the discussion table with what we found out yesterday on pre-order bonuses. I'm pretty happy about this. Saw the ad for the pre-order bonuses for those that pre-order digitally through the Xbox digitally or the PS Store on Battle.net or on GameStop. You're going to get a digitally remastered version of Ice Ice Baby from Vanilla Ice. That was the intro. That's what I saw. I'm pretty happy about that. It is what it is.
So I totally missed this. I did not. I sent you an email and you're like, and you sent me a text message and you're like, all I can say is Ice Ice Baby, and I was like, well, yeah, sure, I guess. I mean, I know the Cold Heart's coming, but I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you call it what you want.
Characters in rare form.
Yeah, boom. There's actually a video with okay. So there's an actual video of the Cold Heart, and it shows it's with Ice Ice Baby, which is so ridiculous. And they actually have the Guardians doing the Vanilla Ice dance. So you think that's actually going to be an emote?
I don't know. I was happy.
It's got to be, right?
Well, you would figure you're seeing that happen, but I was like really excited about the Vanilla Ice, and then I saw the Cabal and the Rave throwing it down as well. So I don't know if they're all drinking the water on Earth and things are getting changed around or what's happening, but it looks like a good time.
Is this worth throwing money at the screen for?
Maybe $1 or $2. I don't know. Is Luke Smith's face going to be on a Cabal? I don't know. I will tell.
I would pay money for that. That's for sure.
But we got that going. But getting down to the cold heart truth, you're getting the Cold Heart. You're also getting a salute emote. You're getting a kill tracker ghost, which I thought was kind of neat. It's a ghost that actually keeps track of all your kills, your kill counts in both PV and PvP. And like we said, the Cold Heart. Now, what the Cold Heart is Bungie's basically labeling this thing as a trace weapon. If you've had the privilege to see the trailer with the Ice Ice Baby in the background, or if you've seen the IGN first with the video of making the exotic, it kind of reminds you of a basically focus burst weapon. I know we talked earlier a little bit about the Hammer of Dawn, but that's coming out of the sky, or a Bungie-inspired proto pack, similar to what the Ghostbusters were using. But looking at it, based on what I was seeing, it looked like it really had some kick to it.
Yeah, it did. It really did. It looked like a lot.
It was melting some guys on the screen, which I was happy to see based on what I was throwing several hundred rounds in guys and not dying in the beta. But I also noticed that it looks like it's going to take some skill to hone it, which I think is a really good thing. Whether this is a better version of
like the sleeper
or I don't know. I'm trying to think of other weapons and other games that would be related to.
Yeah, it looks like the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War, or the Spartan laser from a little bit like those weapons, where it's just a big, long, continuous beam shooting from this gun. Except I know the Spartan laser in Halo kind of charged up and fired a really powerful, like, single shot laser
Yeah.
at something, and the Hammer of Dawn was like, it called in a satellite beam?
It was
Is that what?
basically, it's basically a satellite that rained down from up above.
Right. So
Obviously
this is
this
kind of
is,
like a combo of the two.
yeah,
Uh,
it's a focused solid burst weapon that is emitting light energy for X amount of duration of time.
and it did look really powerful.
Yeah, and from what I saw on screen, it looked like it was staying active for a decent amount of time. I mean, I saw the one clip where I think they wiped out 6 or 7 of the lower grade red bar ads, but hey, if you use it to clear it out, that'd be a good thing.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm super excited to get this weapon right out of the gate, which I'm not going to be able to use until I hit like level 20 or something.
Yeah, but even with that, I'm just wondering if it's going to be more of a like an Iron Galahorn type setup. Is what I'm wondering. Whether you're going to actually get the hardware right out of the gate, or this is something that you're going to have to do a small little quest for.
Yep.
And there's been a lot of theories going around on the different forums. I mean, it's going to be available to everybody later this year. But as a bonus, if you want to throw some money down,
it's not a PlayStation exclusive.
It's not a PlayStation exclusive.
Yay! It's just a pre-order exclusive.
But yeah,
we only get to have it for a year.
I
that's BS, man. I'm going to cancel my pre-order immediately.
Don't roll the salt trucks yet.
Well, I'm super excited to get the weapon, and it does look super powerful. I mean, my only concern with the weapon is, am I ever going to actually find ammo for it?
Good point. But we will discuss that more later in the show.
A little bit. Let's go ahead and dance our way over to YouTuber and Destiny lore historian Bife. My name is Bife on YouTube. Has recently made a video talking about his short stay at the farm. In Destiny 2's new and so far only social space that was opened up to players for a single hour last Sunday, although I did hear that some people got to stay for 2 to 16 hours. Somebody guarded the farm for a while, I heard, before Bungie kicked him out. So according to Bife, with the help of the Get Wrecked clan, they think they have potentially found a new ARG built upon Morse code. And it's coming out of a shack within the farm, and according to them, the code may read AT, I think 6 or 2, something like that. And that means nothing at all. But the code may also read IOM4. And as if anybody's been keeping up with Destiny, what's going on with Destiny 2 here, IO will be a playable space, a planet that we can actually go and play on when Destiny 2 launches. So that could mean that IO M4, possibly IO Mission 4. So when we do story missions on IO, potentially Mission 4 could have something more than meets the eye, just like Transformers. By the way, I would really love a Transformer that turned into a Galahorn in Destiny. If my Sparrow could just turn into like a Galahorn Sparrow and shoot, I don't know, Wolfpack rounds ad nauseum, that would be amazing. But this could also be a massive waste of time. Like just reading into it too much, like we did with the Sleeper Simulant.
The one thing about Bungie, you're always guaranteed is, you're guaranteed some of those Easter eggs out there, and the different things that they have done. Some are lacklusterless, and other things like the Outbreak Prime and everything else like that are absolutely incredible. So with some of the way they tease things, and a lot of people are always looking at this stuff and breaking it down in different aspects. So it could be this, it could be that, looking into the meaning behind words and different languages and all that other stuff. Anything's possible. And it just, with them going in and doing something like this, even with all the stuff that, the mixed reviews that we've seen on the beta and everything else like that, when you see stuff like that, you see just how much clamoring the Bungie community has for something like this, how they chase that stuff down and look into it and research it and go to the ninth end. Most of the people here, we all want Bungie to be successful. We want the Destiny 2 game to be successful.
Right.
The more people that play it, let's be honest, it's a business. We've said that before. The more that they could possibly put into the game, whether it's an additional DLC, anything else along those lines, You know, the more successful the game is, the more they're going to keep going with it, and the more they may be able to put into it. But you know, seeing that type of stuff that makes me feel pretty good about it, because people are still getting involved to that degree and that level.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What else is cool is IGN has been doing these first look videos with Destiny 2, and they had one of their newer videos is exploring Nessus's lost sectors, public events, and adventures. And some of the things that they talked about with this was kind of cool, and I guess I didn't realize. I know that they had actually talked about some of this stuff back in May when they had their big reveal, but I I totally forgot that exploration of the like of the planet itself will unlock these map points called drop zones, and that allows us to actually fast travel between points instead of having to fly our Sparrow everywhere, which I think is really cool. And if the planets are as big as Bungie has been kind of alluding to, I think that's awesome. I think that's good news. And they kind of got to explore a little bit in these lost sectors and kind of describe what a lost sector would be like. And this gets me really excited because one of the biggest games that come out this year was Horizon Zero Dawn. And one of the things that Horizon Zero Dawn did is that there's these almost like dungeons that you have to go. You find them, but you have to find your way to open the door, and that's kind of what these lost sectors do. Like there's a marking that signifies, hey, I'm in the area of a lost sector, and what that means is that somewhere around here is a door, and I have to go find it. And whether that's like down the side of a cliff or what looks like a monster gate where only the monsters can come out, but it looked like you could go in, but you can't. In this case, you would be able to, and it's hidden, and you have to go find it, and you can go down and down and down into like this cavernous catacomb-like area, and it's basically a dungeon with enemies, and at the end is a boss, and you kill the boss, and you get a loot chest. And I mean, that's simple. That's simple stuff, but that's awesome. To me, that's really cool. So I'm really excited about Lost Sectors. That's something that gets me excited for the PvE side of this, especially when we have so many things going on geared towards the PvP side. I don't know, what were your thoughts on the public events and adventures? To me, the public events just look like more public events. It didn't really do a whole lot for me.
Well, if you sit down and look at it and you hear what they're saying, you know, they were trying to incorporate and make the public events more of a mainframe type genre. You know, one of the biggest things that they always talked about as being a downer from a player standpoint was, you know, like with Archon's Forge. You know, how many times were you looking for other Guardians to go in there with, or you'd have, you know, it was real drastic hit or miss. You know, I'd go in there sometimes and I'd find 5 other Guardians in the Forge. Other times I walked in there 100 times. The only thing I'd generate is, you know, my own solo queue. So what they were trying to do is they were trying to make that more of a mainframe thing within the public event and try to garner more people in. Now, I read something a while back with the flashpoints and other stuff where it's going to be something that would be more visual, not necessarily, you know, a guess, oh, I just happen to be out on patrol and look, all of a sudden this dropped, even though there was a lot of third-party apps out there that were basically getting the timing sections down. So you could kind of tell what was going on. But for me, I think it's like anything else. You need to go back to when you were playing Destiny 1 in 2014 and a public event dropped. I remember the first time I saw the spider tank on the Cosmodrome, I was like, oh my God, that is just freaking incredible. It was. Blew me away. Just not only the size of the spider tank and the other ads that came in, but these other Guardians that basically, there was like 2 of us sitting there, and then all of a sudden there was 4 or 5 of us, and there was 6. And we all took out that spider tank for the first time together. And at that time, you know, we're all real low level. And even though that we were low level, we still felt, you know, you could see the difference as those other Guardians came in and you basically joined as one solid fire team unit to take down that spider tank. I think with a lot of the stuff that they're trying to do with this, and it's one thing that I think hurt them drastically in the beta, they didn't put the PvE portion, or at least a little bit of it, in this beta, because everything that I'm seeing between flashpoints, public events, the adventures, the lost sectors, a lot of other stuff, that means there's going to be more out there to do for A, the single player, or B, the lone wolf, or the people that are running in, their 3-man fire teams out in the wild. And that was something that, other than the homecoming mission and the one strike, you didn't get any of that. And I think that was one of the reasons why everyone was so focused on, this is going PvP and everything else. I still feel that way a little bit, but I've also seen a lot of compros how the Destiny 1 beta was compared to Destiny 2. And some people get, you can't compare the two. Well, yeah, you can, because you didn't have a lot of this coming out when the Destiny 1 beta was out. You had way more hype going on at that point in time. But you were able to, level up to level 8, and you were able to go on patrol, and you were able to see the landscape and everything else. I mean, the only other thing that even came close was the hour that we had on the farm. And I was in there for maybe an hour and a half, looking at different stuff, et cetera, walking the power lines and the communication lines over to the top half of each one of the buildings, checking out different things, seeing if I could rock climb on the front half next to the lake, because it looked like there was an area where you could get to, but maybe as my garden becomes stronger or something else goes on, who knows. But like I said, that was one of the things I think that hurt them. So when I see this stuff that's going on and how they're presenting it, I still think there's hope on that aspect on the PvE. With the strike, and you mentioned heavy ammo not falling earlier. I think that's the number one thing that kind of really made that strike way harder than what it should have been.
I mean, the whole fact that you can't have a sniper equipped in that secondary slot or that energy slot really affects the game too. And for PvE, I feel like it affects in a negative way. And I'm sorry, the grenade launcher, I didn't love it. I really didn't love it.
That's like most games. That is a learning system.
Sure, but I would much rather. I mean, if you're going to replace the heavy machine gun with a grenade launcher, I mean, if you want to replace the machine gun with a transforming Galler wing that shoots Wolfpack rounds, then I'm totally on board. That would galvanize the community. Well, I'd be super jazzed about it.
It's just like one of those things that they said, they replaced the heavy machine gun for the PvP side of the basis. I firmly believe that, because depending on what kind of team or what kind of squad you're running around with, I could play a medium position post and go through and unload all 49 rounds out of my Silver Dread and come away with 7 or 8. I mean, 7 or 8.
I know we're going to talk about this later because we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah, but that was an adjustment made for PvP that affects the PvP side, and I kind of have a problem with that overall. But just talking about the IGN first look, exploring Nessus Lost Sectors video. Very cool. Highly recommend it. If you guys get a chance, you should check it out. I think for me, Lost Sector sounds awesome. Super excited. But let's go ahead and get into the beta time, because I know it's something we keep talking about. So let's just go ahead and talk about it. Now, multiple outlets and streamers have spent time over the last few days trying to meet out their thoughts concerning the beta, and the general consensus seems to be, I think, from their side. I know Forbes and some of the bigger streamers like Dado, Miss 5,000 Watts, they kind of trend towards being mostly positive. And I know some of the other podcasts that I've listened to about this were more positive than negative overall on the beta. I mean, I know all of them had some criticisms about the supers being kind of nerfed, about the ability charge rates being slow and the ammo drops being kind of poor. And I mean, if that sounds familiar, that's kind of like Vanilla Destiny with the ammo for sure. But the general consensus among the community, a lot of passionate fans called for Jesus to basically smote Bungie with the 7 plagues because 7 is their favorite number. And the rest of them grabbed salt and shouted words that, most able-bodied gamers 9 and up associate with Quentin Tarantino. So mixed opinions on Destiny 2 right now. We're going to dive into it, give our thoughts and impressions on just what the French toast is going on. Beta Talk Charger. What did you think overall about the beta?
I'm gonna be honest, it was bland.
Honesty is the best policy. Thank you.
It was bland. I'm not saying I liked it. I'm not saying I disliked it or hated it. I was happy to play it. You know, for me, in the comparison that I gave on this, I took a little bit different of approach. Okay. And because the time spans that I had with the pre-order on Xbox, I decided to play each character through. So, you know, opened it up, the homecoming mission, did the strike, did both PvPs with control and countdown. And then what I did is I jumped back to D1 and played on that very same character for about the same amount of time. And I did basically very stark contrasts as to the two different game types. Okay. With D2, and we're going to talk here first on the PvP side. When compared to D1, it felt lethargic. It felt unenergized. It was slower. You know, grenades, what grenades? Supers, that's almost non-existent. Okay.
So
it could
everything that makes Destiny Destiny.
Yeah, that's the heart and soul of Destiny. It's all about the space magic. That's what makes it that. If you pull that out, you have a Battlefield, you have a Call of Duty, you have all those other genres. That was, to me, my opinion, the space magic and everything else that's surrounded about that with your supers, whether you're a striker titan, a bubble titan, golden gun, you know, pole dancer, whatever you want to be, you know, that's what made it what it is. Okay. With that though, on the PvP side, the changes that they have done, it does make the game more balanced, without a doubt. You're able to strafe away from somebody that starts an engagement on you and maybe can get more precision damage than what you're able to deal out. The only downside that I saw on that is the team shot is so alive and active. If you're in that mode, you don't stand a chance. You know, when they sit down, they talk about bringing all these individual players back in and how the clans are going to do this and the clans are going to do that. Being a lone wolf in PvP, and I ran a few rounds by myself. I went offline just so I didn't have nobody else there to basically help me. And it was really discouraging.
Yeah.
You know, so how Bungie says, okay, yeah, we're gonna get all these single players more active and all this other stuff, but then you put a game type like the PvP out, while the gun game itself is better, and their whole you know AI for shooting and everything else like that is excellent. It always has been. They've won multiple awards for it. When you put the team gunplay against one person, I mean, you don't stand a chance. You flat out don't. Now, on Destiny 1 side, you could at least go mano a mano, and sometimes you could go 1-on-2. I've seen some of the better people, Combe being one of them, go 1-on-3.
Not
Destiny,
now.
Destiny 2, it's changed that drastically.
Oh,
now
time.
maybe it will change. You know, it'll change around, so on and so forth, as we grow stronger as a guardian in Destiny 2. Maybe not. I don't know. You know, I've heard a lot of, well, you know, the beta was this 2-month-old thing, and we've done this, and we've done this, and we've done that. My question to Bungie is very, very simple. Okay. If it was a 2-month-old build and you didn't like it then, why did you release it to us now?
That's a great question. I mean, I think that's a legit question to ask, and I don't have the answer. I don't get it, and I don't understand. I mean, part of me kind of understands why they didn't want to give us too much to play, but I feel like what they gave us it wasn't good enough.
It was fragmented and it felt unfinished to me.
Yeah, it was disjointed, right? And making you didn't have the character customization that you did with Destiny 1, right? So you didn't actually get to create the face and the hair and blah blah blah. You actually feel like you created a character and then take that character out into the wild, do some some patrols and actually get a feel for what the game is. Instead, you choose a class and it throws you into the beginning mission. You don't have a
Yeah.
choice. You don't get to choose what your mission is. You just boom, you're instantly in the homecoming mission, and which okay, but you can't replay the mission. So you can't replay the
Well,
mission unless
you
you create another character or
yeah,
delete a character and
delete
make another
character and
one.
restart all over again.
Right. And I it was nice that they did allow us to have some time with I'm assuming those are class specific exotics. What it was an auto rifle for the Titan, a pistol or a pistol hand cannon for the hunter, and was it a
Submachine gun for the
submachine
Warlock.
gun? Yeah, for the warlock. And I think that submachine gun felt really good with the warlock. I actually really liked that, and I thought the auto rifle was pretty good too. The hunter hand cannon. Mm, in PvE,
Don't get caught 2-on-1. That's all
I
I
did
can
not
tell
love
you.
it in PvP for sure. Which I did try it and I hated it. In PvE, it does a great job on the bosses.
Yeah.
I didn't love it against just regular ads, but taking down the shield, like an elemental shield, fantastic. I thought that was a great weapon. Overall, it was just kind of but even that was just kind of the hunter. I love the hunter, I
Yeah.
love the hunter class, and I don't think I'll ever play hunter again. It's so sad.
But that's on the gameplay. But then there was other things that I really liked about the beta, and then there was other things that I don't
things
understand.
you liked about the beta. No, go
Okay.
back. I haven't heard this. What's
Now, things I like. I thought the sound effects. The sound is phenomenal. I mean, just between the Sentinel Titan throwing the shield around and
Cap was looking pretty good.
Those sound effects look good. Okay. I thought the environments were very well done. I thought the way the supers, when you got them, when they were energized, looked good. I thought the ship loading screens when you're flying above the planet or your destination point and you fly in was a vast improvement. The fly-in section where you're going into warp light speed to a different location. I thought that looked fantastic. On the downside, when you're in your Guardian sub menu, the first thing I noticed compared to D1, D2, your Guardian's a lot more a smaller scale Guardian. But the details of that Guardian were so lacking when compared to D1. And I wish I had pictures and I could show all that, but it really unimpressed me, as far as from the overview screen, your Guardian.
Yeah.
And then the weapon screen, when you're looking at them, the weapons are smaller on Destiny 2 on the overview. And the weapons, I made this comment before. I don't know who was building some of these Destiny weapons, but they look like they were, watching Lord of the Rings while tripping out on acid, designing Destiny guns. I don't know where you get a fin off a trigger group assembly on a sidearm with what looks like a piece of broken off lead pipe.
The same place you get a rocket, a Wolfpack Gallerwing, man. That's awesome.
It's yeah, but then your Gallerwing may come. I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah.
But
well, you never know. I hope you want to get a good PvP. Change it up, man. Let me ride around in a spider tank, and everybody else can have their Wolfpack Gallerwings. How awesome would that be? I would be on board for that. I mean,
blow them up.
Yeah, dude.
But I don't know. I think I was just expecting a little bit more in the weapon aspect. Another downer is I thought, scout rifle is my number one go-to weapon in Destiny 1. I was so disappointed in the scout rifles in Destiny 2. I'm like, what?
I know those were just certain ones that we had access to.
Correct.
So I mean, I'm hoping for the Mida multi-tool was my go-to weapon in D1. I love the Mida, but dude, the scout rifles were such garbage that we got to play with, at least starting out. So I never did get a drop. I never got a rocket launcher. I never got a scout rifle. I always got copies of the same crap that I already had, which was kind of discouraging. And I don't know if that was just like intentional with the beta because they're like, oh, hey, you know what? You can have stuff that you have already used. So here you go.
I think I pretty much got everything unless there was something else that dropped in the strike.
Oh, really?
Well, I had every character had every piece of Crucible armor. out there, and I had the shotgun, the linear fusion rifle. I had all that stuff.
I did like the
I
shotgun PvP. I thought it felt pretty good.
wicked,
Yeah.
wicked. The only thing I didn't get a lot of, and it's just because of the way it was, and like you said, the lack of heavy ammo, the lack of a special weapon, it just made the strikes feel very
Long and tedious.
very long, tedious, and like I said, bland.
Yeah.
I
agree with that.
I realize some of the guys, that doesn't mean I'm not buying. Oh, I'm definitely buying, and I'm definitely open for the best. But
this, and again, this is
I think
that we dislike the game because we haven't really played the game. So
No.
I mean, this is just our observations from the beta, and for me personally, I mean, for me, it was also a little lackluster. And a big part of that was exactly what you're talking about with the weapon change, having those two primaries and then that secondary / heavy all combined in that power slot. Just for PvE, which is what I primarily play, that and thinking about a raid coming up, that is kind of discouraging, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I know Bungie could have done better, and I think that's what I'm more aggravated about than anything.
Yeah, it feels like they're kind of rushing this.
Yeah, they didn't. To me, they didn't put their best foot forward, and it was by far from their best work.
But when I watched the video, and I cannot remember which video it was. I apologize. It may have been Skill Up. I'm watching this video, and they were talking about how even though the Destiny beta was not their favorite thing, it was not the best. They talked about how the Doom beta was widely hailed as one of the worst betas of all time. It was horrible. Everybody was instantly turned off by it and thought this game is just going to suck. And then the game actually came out, and all of a sudden word got out that, whoa, Doom, the new Doom from last year, may be one of the best games of all time. And it instantly became like a modern masterpiece. So I'm not saying Destiny 2 is going to be a modern masterpiece by any means. There's some things that I'm definitely not happy with. Yeah, the recharge rate of your abilities, the cooldown of your super with trickle basically on at all times now. I hate that. I'm not a big fan. But there is some things that I did like. I like the color. Like you were talking about the environments. Even though the enemies kind of feel a little bit reskinned, there were some new enemies that they added. Those meat cleaver guys were pretty brutal. I mean, it's kind of awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store. But overall, for me, I did not like the beta. And I think the PvP overall was pretty solid. But not if you're playing by yourself, like you said. I definitely had a problem with that. If you go with the team of 3 or 4, it's definitely a lot more manageable and fun. But by yourself, you just you just get rolled if you're playing against another team. So there's some things there that need work. The team shot is so real in PvP. It's man, that's rough. That's pretty rough, and it doesn't feel fun when that happens. I mean, you turn the corner and there's 2 guys, and it's over. You have no chance of getting away.
And the funny thing about it is, I mean, don't get me wrong, you get double team shot in D1.
Sure.
But it doesn't feel as bad as it does in D2. I mean, it's just like,
well, it's like instant.
It's instant, number one, but it's such a drastic. When you're able to, dodge if you're a hunter or anything else like that, or strafe away from an engagement on the 1, but man, you get the 2, and it's just like it goes from into nuclear mode.
It's like Bill Paxton, game over, man.
Gone.
Because it is. So I mean, I think our overall impressions were kind of meh on the beta. Was that?
I was happy to play it. I was happy to see the supers.
Yeah.
I was happy to get a glimpse of some of the game, how it might be. And I use the word might very, very loosely, because I'm hoping that everything that they say is true, that they, we played an old version and, hey, we're sorry we didn't put our best foot forward, but I was happy to play what we can play. But we go back to episode 2, and I said how this snowball is going to roll, and you know, if I was the marketing, how I would do this. And wow, it's
Yeah.
just unreal what kind of roller coaster we've had as opposed to a straight downhill snowball getting bigger
It-
and bigger as we get to launch day.
right. It kind of feels like the the launch of the Xbox One, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, it's not like it's a bad product. It just so what are you doing?
I,
Why are you saying that stuff?
you know,
Come on.
I've always had this old saying, you know, the difference that makes you between being a smart person and an idiot, we all make mistakes, but whether you learn from your mistakes or you don't is what makes you a smart person or an idiot.
Yeah.
Not calling Luke Smith an idiot, but some of the things that he was saying, and I just don't know if he's not good with formulating his words or anything else like that. There was a lot of hostility in the community over some of the things he said. Do I think he said that to make that happen? No, inadvertently. I just think he used the wrong words. And God Almighty, I've been there plenty of times.
Right, but so
But
was
at the
he. I
same,
mean, he just did this a couple years ago. So
correct. But at the same time, he's been pretty quiet
yeah,
overall. And
yeah.
you know, I think they're learning on that. And I think as this continues on, we can hopefully see more and more as it goes. It's just going to be interesting what they do here within the next 5 weeks before D2's launch. How they're going to uh, roll some more of this stuff out. Some of those IGN first videos are going to be ending real soon, so it should be interesting.
I bold prediction. I think that given how lackluster this beta was overall, I do think that Bungie will put out another beta, probably 2 weeks. I would say towards the end of August. They're going to drop another beta for a week and let people kind of see what the game's about, and they're going to let us. They'll probably let us create a character and actually go to the farm and let us go to Earth, some space on Earth that we get to explore. Now, one of the things the only thing I could think of that maybe why they did not let us do that is because now we're actually exploring, and that exploration is opening up the map based on where we've been. That could be why they're not letting us do that, and because there's things like the lost sectors and yada 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 hidden within that. But I just read an article on Forbes today where they talked about how the patrols are so much better now than they have been or are currently in D1 for D2. So I mean, they were kind of questioning Bungie's decision not to allow us to play that and have access to that content, because even just like being able to do a couple patrols would have made us feel like we were actually accomplishing something and get a good feel for what the game is actually going to be like versus what we got to play. So I don't know if they could feasibly do that. If they can, then I definitely think that we're going to get another beta at the end of August and kind of get a better feel and grasp of what's going on in the Destiny world and get us more hyped and more people on board for that game. So I want to move into some things we like, things we hate. For me, aside from the weapon slot changes, which I genuinely hate. I know it's a strong word, but I really hate it. Again, because I play PvE. For the PvP, I think that was perfect. That's such a great idea where you have two primaries, one energy, and then you have the power weapon. It was kind of disappointing when you pop the power ammo and it only drops for you. But at the same time, it was kind of interesting that you actually see your name flash up and your location that you picked it up.
And the weapon of your choosing.
Yeah, and that was kind of cool. So and also aside from the supers, like the golden gun not being great in the charge rate, the thing that I really genuinely hate about this actually happened during the story mission. At the end of the story mission, we get to see Cabane again, who was the most blatant ripoff of Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, which is a film that I personally loathe. I hate. I'm a big Batman lover. I love Batman. I'm a lover of Batman. That sounds really weird when I say it like that, but that's okay because I do love
Awkward.
Batman. and Bane, I grew up in the '90s, right? So Bane was one of I grew up with that Batman animated series, which was so good, Emmy Award winning. It was amazing. Uh, Bane is awesome in that series. Batman is awesome in that series. The Dark Knight Rises is a flaming piece of trash, and they totally ripped off Bane, even his face mask. And so I'm sitting here watching this, right? And Cabane kicks you out of the tower, like literally kicks you out of the tower, and he's up there spouting his his stupid Bane jargon. And I'm just thinking the entire time, why? Of all the things that you wanted to rip off, you ripped off Bane from The Dark Knight Rises? Like, come on, Bungie. Really?
It just makes
and even the things that he says. Even the things that he says. I don't remember the exact line that he says at the end, but he's like, oh, the light is mine, and you were not worthy because and you're gonna die again. That stupid crap. And I just watched another video. Like I recently watched a clip of Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, and one of the things that he says, he's like, "Oh, I'm Gotham's reckoning, here to end the borrowed time you've still been living on." And it's like the same crap. Yeah. It's the same crap. So
I think the strongest quote that he said there, and it shows the interpretation from, and yeah, we're not calling him Gaul on the Destiny Expanse podcast. We're calling him Cabane. That's what we've tagged him as. Don't look at me, creature. Yeah. And I think, okay, rip off or not, okay, I think that is something we all got to remember, because I think you're going to see more in the storyline, or at least I hope you would see more in the storyline of what drives this individual. That individual being, our Cabane.
Like the Force is strong with Luke Skywalker. I hope the story is strong with Cabane. Because right now I'm not impressed. Like I know people are freaking out, like, oh man, that was so cool. What a cinematic experience at the end of the story mission. And I was like, I can't get over the fact that it's Bane from Dark Knight Rises and he's in Destiny.
But at the same time here, okay, if you didn't know what you know growing up with the Batman animated series and the Dark Knight and all that other stuff, what would you think of it? That's the big question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know that's another shoe to put on, but that's that.
I'm gonna put those on. Let me tell you. I don't know. I mean, I would probably be more on board with it, but I do think, just his character design, I dislike it. Because every time that we see something from the Cabal, right? Every time we see one of these giant hulking monstrosities, and they are kind of cool. They always have a helmet. They always have something, that kind of makes them stand out. Whether it's like that big fan, it's usually one of those like crazy fan things behind their head. Mm-hmm. It kind of makes them look like a Roman legionnaire or something like that.
Or an overgrown turkey with multicolor.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to go that far, but
turkey gobbler,
gobble gobble. I don't like. I don't mind his armor. I don't mind the two big kind of almost like wings hanging off his back. I don't mind the armor design, but what I really have a problem with is his face and is the mask. And if it wasn't, I feel like that just completely ruins that character for me anyway. And part of it is a big part of it's because it does look like Bane. I mean, it really looks a lot like Bane, especially the mask. But I don't believe that a character like that would actually not have a helmet. I mean, why would he not? Why would he not have a helmet?
I expect to learn more, or at least my hope and anticipation would be to learn more of why he's basically done what he's done, and gone against.
He tells you that he thinks that you're not worthy of the light, that he is, and that's why they showed up. And I think that is a cool story. That's a cool plot line, and how they work that is going to be interesting. And that is something I'm excited to see, because it watching our AI companions, Zavala and Cade 6 and oh crap,
Ikora.
Ikora. Thank you. Watching them lose their power because they drain the light from the Traveler. That was, I mean, that was a moment.
Well,
Like,
even
wow.
your own guardian,
Yeah.
when he kicks you off and your ghost falls, that's the
Oh,
other thing.
when he kicked the ghost off, I was like, well, crap. That, no, I
He's
mean,
kicking you. He wasn't kicking you off tower. You're getting kicked off basically his flagship.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The
I thought you were
thing,
getting out of the tower, but
no,
well, I guess the tower's destroyed, so it doesn't even matter.
that's
You
on
were
the
on, yeah, because
edge of his ship.
what's her
My
name?
biggest thing is,
Makes it up
okay,
there.
he kicks you off. How the hell do you pick yourself up after falling about 400 feet? Because
Through the atmosphere.
there must be a
Well,
lot. There must be a lot of trees.
I don't want it to spoilers for Destiny 2.
Yeah.
But now that Nolan North Ghost is dead, Peter Dinklage is going to come back to revive you. Just a heads up.
Choice. Choice. Destiny Expanse motto: Dinklebot come home. Nothing against you, Nolan, but
yeah. Speaking of things we hate, now things we like. Let's talk about some of the things we like. We'll end on a positive note here. Some of the things that I really liked about this beta is, again, Bungie's ability to make gunplay in a shooter feel so good. I mean, headshots. When you get those critical shots, it just makes you feel powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these guns were fantastic. I really like the pulse rifle for the Titan. I use that all the time. I really, really dug the exotic submachine gun for the Warlock. I thought that was fantastic. Did not really like any of the weapons or the Hunter class in general. But something else that kind of caught my attention with the beta, and that really makes me excited. I know we're all complaining, especially me, about the lackluster supers and the charge rate, and I don't think this is going to affect how bad the Golding or the Gunslinger is right now. But with the charge rate itself, I do think that there's potential here, because with the armor, there were mod slots, and not just mod slots, but there were also slots for shaders. So we can change each color, like each piece of armor gets, we're going to have shaders for it. So we can change each one to, it adds more customization, that we can actually change the color scheme of each individual piece of armor that we get now. I think that's awesome. I think it's awesome that we don't have to carry around like, nine shaders, and one of them is the no shader. I think that's really cool. I'm excited about that. But what really gets me excited is this armor mod, and they haven't really, for at least that I've known, they haven't discussed that. And if we can swap in mods that help, like it used to be intellect, strength and discipline, and now we have agility, resilience and all that stuff, resistance, whatever. If we can slot in mods for our armor like that, and I think don't weapons have those mod spots also?
They do.
If we can do that and kind of custom build our weapons and armors in that way, and if they have, just think about that, if they have exotic mods, that's awesome. I mean, that to me, that's brilliant. That's super exciting. I mean, that makes this game have so much more potential than what we got to play in the beta. So just seeing that was there, that gave me a lot of hope. And I also think that if, like what we talked about earlier with the potential of that Morse code ARG in the farm, if that turns out to be like another Outbreak Prime, and there are more things like that spread throughout this entire universe, or all this area that we're playing with Destiny 2, and with the content that they're going to be dropping, with DLC and updates, that's awesome. To me, that's very exciting. So you got me, Bungie. I mean, I'm on board, and this whole thing with the lost sectors. Wow, I can't tell you how much I love that. I didn't just like that; I love that. So you keep showing me that kind of stuff. And I can't wait to play that. I'm super pumped. It's one of the things that I loved about games like Fallout and The Witcher, is when you go and explore a map, you just never know what you're going to run into. And one of the things about Vanilla Destiny was the map was already open. You could go anywhere, and it's always the same. And I know that this is probably going to be just like that, where after you're done exploring, you're like, well, that group of fallen are going to be over there, and there's always like two Shanks and a Vandal.
Yeah.
But I hope that's not what it is. I hope that it changes a little bit more than that. If it doesn't, that's okay. But just the fact that we actually get to explore, and as we explore, we unlock this map. If the map really is as big as they're talking about, and it can take a while for us to actually unlock all that space, that's awesome. That is awesome to me. So really, really looking forward to it, and it makes me feel like maybe there will be more to the game, and it will be a longer game than we're giving it credit for at the moment.
Yeah, but it's what we have, what we know in front of us.
That's true. That beta was not the best.
No, that's like I said, that was not their best foot forward, nor was it their best work. On me, on my spectrum, I can't say I really hated anything, and I know that there was a lot of concern. There was a lot of discouragement. It's like I said, I want this game to be good. I want it to be great. And
it just needs to come out now.
And I believe they have it, but I believe that they just went about bringing this all out the wrong way, and they've kind of paid the price for it in a sense. So nothing that I really hate. There was a lot of dislikes, and I think I pretty much covered that. Feeling lethargic, poor super, and grenade charge rate. The weapon slots on the PvP side don't bother me as bad as what they do on the PvE. I think it's a huge mistake on the PvE side.
I agree.
But they seem to be pushing more towards that PvP genre. Okay.
They do. So do you feel like that PvP is actually ruining the PvE experience?
Well, considering this game was sold and most of the people that were attracted to this game was because it was an MMO FPS. Okay. Not an esports game. Whether the people at Bungie right now feel like they want to dive back into the days of Halo 2 with LAN parties and everything going crazy on Halo 3 or whatever the deal is, I don't know. I got no idea, no clue. But everything that they say and scream relates back to that. Removing the heavy machine guns, making all the weapons static, making all the armor static. I mean, look at the abilities with the hunter. I mean, those are 100% driven towards a PvP player. Neither one of those special abilities helps the team environment at all.
Yeah.
Unlike the Titan that's got the shield and
or the bubble,
or the bubble, or the Warlock that's got the healing, or the or the weapons rift. I mean, those are huge bonuses towards that player. At the same time, most of the hunters are a lone wolf type breed,
right?
So it kind of plays into it, but it's still discouraging. I mean, you look at D1 with the classes. I always thought the Blade Dancer was kind of the lone wolf class. You'll get the kills for you, not generating a lot of orbs. Gunslinger, a little bit of both. You could put on the Celestial Nighthawk and do some really high DPS damage to and that was a boss or anything else like that.
That was pretty cool. You just said something there that I wanted to talk about. It just jogged my memory. And that was generating orbs. That was something in this beta that I thought was super lacking. Yeah. Also, it was when I'm talking about PvE, when you actually go in and you wipe, and there's that section in the story mission, and I know we haven't really talked much about the story mission other than my entire rant about Cabane, but one of the things that I did like was the story mission up until that Cabane point. I really liked the longevity of the story mission. I thought that was really cool, and there were so many different levels of that story mission. On one point, it did feel very Halo-y to me, but going into the actual tower with Zavala and there's all these hordes of enemies coming through, and they actually allow kind of a social moment where they have other rando players join up with you. 1 to 2 other players join you and help you fight this horde. And I'm playing as I played as a warlock, a hunter, and a titan. Each time that we were in there, and I'm playing with these randos, they always made sure that you have your super by the time that you hit that point.
Yep.
You wouldn't be able to use your super until then, but you had your super. It was ready to go by the time you made it to the tower with Zavala. And Zavala would pop his bubble. They would rain down some ordnance or whatever, and the bubble would generate orbs for you, so you could pick up some orbs. That great. So you could get your super twice while you were in that area because you kill enough guys and you generate orbs. But there were so many times when some of the guys that I was playing with, a warlock would pop his super, fly around, kill all these guys, and maybe drop 1 orb.
Yeah,
and that.
So like I said, the space magic is gone. And
I hope that's not going to be how it is with Destiny 2. I really hope that that's a fix, or they notice that that's something that's a problem. I mean, to me, it definitely felt intentional. Like,
well, you just take a look at Destiny 1, and like I said, the last character I was going to talk about was the Night Stalker with the shadow shot and the orb generation that he did, everything else like that. I mean, how good does it feel to get a fire team of 6 and go into a raid and everyone is running off everybody else's super, whether you're a Titan with a bubble or a hunter with a shadow shot,
of a good raid team,
or you got it. That is using your ability, using your skill set, teamwork, and that is what built a lot of the community that you have in Destiny 1. So for, like I said, for them to just take that out, just like,
my hope, I deep down, I genuinely believe it's not going to happen. Like, it's not going to happen. But I a sliver of hope that they will. They're just hanging on to that 3rd subclass, and they're going to drop it with the game, and we just it's going to be a surprise. Like, haha, ta-da! You actually get 3, but you didn't know. And now you get to see this whole new subclass for the first time, and it's revamped and it's better now, and blah, 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 blah. But you're right. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be DLC in a year.
Yeah. I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
I'll guarantee it. But
also something I hate.
But, like I said, not getting back on the dislike, on the like side, okay? I'm hoping, and me and you had a real long conversation about this off air. Those mod slots on the weapons and the armor.
Yeah.
Okay. Bungie, you are brilliant if you did what I'm about ready to say. And that is, to get your PvP esport the way you need to be, you had to drop the static weapons. Okay. I get that. Most of the community gets that, everything else like that. But now if those mod slots could be used for something more than cosmetic. Okay, now I saw where you could make your weapon fire arc, your weapon fire void, whatever else, and obviously the shaders. If you could take the perks that we currently see in D1 and have a mod slot card that you could put into your weapon or utilize on that weapon. So let's say you wanted crowd control. Let's say you wanted full auto. Let's say you wanted spray and play. And you could use that. That would be 10 times better. I don't want to get too far carried. 100 is a big number. 10 times better than what we have. I got to speak the truth if they are listening, even though I know they're not, but hey, 10 times better than what we have in D1. Okay. One of the things I was worried about, how are you going to keep your sales full of wind with the grind and everything else like that if every gun is static? With those mod and those weapon slots, if you put RNG to that and that doesn't drop all the time, or you make that a hard thing to get, okay, you're going to have players that are going to want to chase that stuff. I know I'm going to be like, stink on you know what about that, if that's the way that works, okay?
Yeah.
Am I going to be that way if it's a bunch of shaders and other stupid crap? I get a skull emblem on my gun? Probably not. Ornament, everything else. The thing is, there are so many of those boxes on that armor and that weapon. It really makes you wonder if that is exactly what it might be. And if they did that, okay, not only are you basically giving us everything that was in Destiny 1 back within our weapons and with our armor, even though the armor's got different stat rolls on it as opposed to what it was in D1, you're still giving us more availability to modify our weapons and use the weapons based on the perks that we use the most to build the ultimate weapon. One of the things they didn't care for in year 2 was your ability to go to the gunsmith and, re-roll weapons, and everyone would just re-roll. And, I couldn't re-roll enough because I didn't have enough weapon parts, but that's another salt story from years ago.
Back that truck up.
Yeah.
Watch out for that ice.
Yeah. There ain't no ice there, boy. It's on fire.
Well, good thing you salted it first.
But if they actually did that, oh God, ecstatic. I guarantee you would change the perception of this game tenfold, without a doubt.
Oh, absolutely.
There's been so many things in the beginning that the way you guys presented it, so on and so forth. It's like, why? And that literally, that's the only question I had. What is the logic here? And the only logic I could make was, you want everything to be balanced for PvP, which I get that. If I was an esports game, yeah, that's what you got to have. But you didn't sell Destiny 1 to the community that you have in front of you based on an esports. Okay. It didn't happen. It was an MMO FPS, and that's what grabbed everybody with the open world aspect, the space magic, everything that you guys pulled out. To me, the heart and soul of Destiny. You kind of yanked that out from underneath our feet, and then people are falling down on their cans and asking the question, why this, why that? And you're wondering why salt trucks come out and everything else. Okay. Everyone's got to realize Bungie hired PhD educated people to look at behavioral psychology to make Destiny 1 more addictive. Fact. Bottom line to it. Pure fact. They wanted to make it more addictive, and you know what? It did. It created avid, hello, avid gamers that really want to help them and help the community and help these other players to do the things that we have done. And it's opened up more people. My mission statement for the clan basically says it all, where I've said it's brought more people together with different age groups, regional locations, et cetera, better than any other game has ever done before. And that's a clearly stated fact. It's been proven. Okay. So with all that, when you start pulling that apart, people are going to get upset. Change is never easy. Change is always difficult. It's hard, but sometimes you have to change in order to better yourself. I'm hoping, in my hope, and I'm praying, I'm really praying on this, guys, is that they've got all these little aces up their sleeve, and then they're not going to roll them out to the end just to get that game really going once it launches. I think this, with the mod slots, if you could actually add those type perks to your weapons, would be an absolutely insane and brilliant idea for the game. And that would really suffice a lot of what the PvE community is looking for.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. All right. Well, I can completely on board with that, man. I hope that those mod slots really are what do it, and I hope that's what happens with it. I think it's going to wrap up our show for today. If you like what you heard, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Destiny Expanse. If you have any questions you would like to have read on air, email them to Destiny Expanse. That's all one word, destinyexpanse@gmail.com. My fun fact of the day is Titans are the new master race. Rest in peace, my hunter. I will miss you. Charger, as always, a pleasure, sir.
Rock on.
You guys have a good one. We're out.
Take care, Guardians.